Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. We are in our 12th year homeschooling this year. Today, I am going to be sharing my monthly homeschool update with you. If you are interested in seeing how things are going, stay tuned. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. All right. Let's get started. Okay, guys, it has been an extremely busy month. We have not had a weekend home. We have been out pretty much every single day in the month of October. It's been busy between cross-country practice, cross-country meets, band practice, football games where Emma's playing in the pep band, plus homeschooling. Plus church, plus other activities. It's been a lot. So October definitely was a whirlwind. Yes, but now cross country is over. We finished that up about a week ago, I guess, for Emma. So I'm hoping that as we move into November, we have a little bit more breathing room. We shall see. It's so hard because for the past many years, Emma has participated in public school activities, mainly band, and it is a big drain on our time for me to get her back and forth to the public school multiple times a week. But she really does enjoy it. So this fall, I thought was going to be completely different than it actually ended up being. I did not know that she was going to do band again this year. That was like a day before first day of school decision. I did not know that she was going to run cross country until the middle of August when preseason was going to start. And she was like, oh, I think I'm going to do cross country. So it was a little bit different. This whole fall has been, no, not a little bit. It's been a lot different than what I expected. But I will focus on October right now. It was busy, but we did have some things that went really well in our homeschool, things that we're doing consistently that I think are good positives in our homeschool rhythm. I do have my teacher planner here where every month I write down what's going well, challenges that we're facing, things that I want to change, and books that we're reading, that kind of stuff. I do that every month so that I can keep on top of it. And it works really well, except when I can't make certain changes in certain seasons. Certain changes, like we can't just stop cross country in the middle of cross country season. I mean, technically you could, but obviously we were not going to do that. So what is working? The things that are going really well right now, Lucy's school is going great. This is our 3rd time through Sunlight Level C. I used it with Emma, I used it with Jack, and now I'm using it with Lucy. I feel very efficient with my time and these early elementary resources that I'm using because I have been through them before. I don't have to refer to an instructor's guide really at all. I just kind of know what we're doing next. We have a good system in place where I will sit down with Lucy first thing in the morning and go through all of her school. We do her math, her handwriting, her reading, and then I will go through her history and read-alouds and science, and we just kind of do that. It doesn't take us a ton of time. She is just 8. She's in 2nd grade. It's not a huge amount of seat work and stuff like that. And because I've already been through the resources so many times, it's easier for me to get through it. I know the main points that I want her to know. I know the questions that I want to ask her. That's really been going great, and I am happy that it's been going well. The only challenge with it is sometimes she's just not into it, and that is okay. So that is Lucy's school. I'm very happy with. Emma's classical literature and Spanish 2 are going great. She's doing so well in both of those subjects. She's enjoying all of the books that she's reading for the Sunlight Level 230 this year, and I am enjoying going through those books and asking her the questions and having discussion with her. It's been a lot of fun for me because these are books, most of these books I have already read and really enjoyed. And so it's nice to see her read and enjoy some of my favorites as well. Spanish 2, again, she's doing great with Spanish 2. She really has an affinity for languages, and I think that that's a good thing. So those two things are going great in our homeschool. For Jack, his Science Unlocked units are also amazing. I'm super happy that I got those for his 7th grade science this year. He is able to move through those as very easily without a ton of help from me, and that was really important because I knew that I needed to spend a lot of time with Lucy this year as she's starting to get more into schoolish activities, being in 2nd grade instead of, you know, K first. And also I have had to work with Emma a lot on some of her more upper level work, specifically biology and geometry, and so I knew that I needed a little bit less with Jack, and he's really good about getting his stuff done off of his list. First thing in the morning, he really purposes to finish before lunch, and he does a great job at that. He's very diligent and will complete everything that he needs to without a lot of prompting from me, so that is super helpful. And then his ELA, his English and Language Arts, is also going well. He's working through the Level H, Sunlight Level H Language Arts, and he is also choosing books for himself to read. I pulled a ton of books at the beginning of the year. I have all of my curriculum choices in my homeschool curriculum playlist if you're interested in some of those books. The first few books that he read for 2022-2023 were books that I chose and assigned to him. That did not go well. He did not like the books that I chose. Even though I have chosen all of these books for him to read, shifting the choice to him, saying, please pick a book off of these shelves to read, has been much better. He's been enjoying the books more, and I don't know if it's just the first few books of the year were just really bad books for him, or if it is just because he has that choice now, so he's more engaged with it. So that's going well. And then for everybody, the NaNoWriMo prep that we've been doing in September, October has been going great. The kids are really excited to start NaNoWriMo on November 1st. I'm really excited. That's going to be the bulk of our English and Language Arts through the end of December, because we do all of the writing every day in November for the most part. Thanksgiving, things get a little questionable about writing during Thanksgiving. And then in December, the kids will add to their stories or start to revise or do illustrations or work on editing and that kind of stuff, because it's something that they are fully engaged with and interested in. So that has also been going really well. Okay, now for the challenges, and I feel like there have been a lot of challenges, and I talked about a lot of challenges in my last homeschool update as well. Some of them are still the same, and I think that part of it is just because we have been so incredibly busy this fall, and when I don't have breathing room, when I don't have margin in our days and we're just trying to get to the next thing, it is never fun for anybody. And it's, it's so hard for me because the activities that we're involved in are very specifically chosen based on my kids' interests and what they really love to do. It's not that I just make my kids do a specific activity. So what ends up happening is my vision of what we are going to do doesn't match up with the time allotment that we have for those things. So when we are tied to the public school schedule, it is a challenge for everybody because there are activities during the day that we may not get to. There are activities that we might want to do for a full week that we don't have time for because the band schedule or the cross-country schedule is kind of up in the air. And it's a little bit of a challenge for me. And then what ends up happening is I am trying to just tick off the boxes, especially with Emma being in high school, and making sure I'm hitting all of the requirements that I have created for college prep, things that I know that she needs for college admittance. And it takes away some of the magic and joy of homeschooling when I am so super focused on that kind of stuff. And I don't want that for our homeschool. I haven't quite figured out how to make a change besides just dropping all of our outside commitments and having a lot more interest-led learning that way. I don't think that's going to work though, because Emma really does love music. She has a passion for the arts, and I want her to be involved in something like that. There aren't a lot of opportunities for that in our area for homeschoolers, and so I do have to look to the public school for those types of opportunities. We will see how it goes once we get into our winter break, because we have about 3 weeks of school before our winter break, and then we're doing more Christmas schooling. We are still doing schoolish things, but it is a break from normal curriculum. Like, they take a break from math because they'll be halfway through their math curriculum. Emma's halfway through her Spanish. Any of the online classes that they're doing or resources that we're using, we're like halfway through the year. So I feel like I can take a big break and just take some time off. That's what we've done for, I don't know, many, many years. I think since Lucy was born, we've been doing that. So it's been a while. So I'm hoping that I can reevaluate some things over the winter break, but I'm hoping that I will have a better grasp on the time allotment that we have and just make some good decisions as to when we can do things. The fall, because I had done so much prep work before, in June for our July start, and planned out trips and things that we were planning on doing in the fall, we did all of those things, and we just weren't at the public school during those times. But now that, because I didn't know that we were going to be doing so much public school activity stuff, I wasn't prepared for that. But going into the second semester, I feel like I'll know a little bit more, so I can not schedule our time, but really manage the margin that we have and make sure that I'm doing the things that I want to do and that the kids want to do. So there is that. Another challenge that I have had is we don't have any read aloud time. We have not had any read aloud time this year with all of my kids because A, we've been so busy, and so we're just trying to get through stuff, and B, because Emma and Jack are not doing a Sunlight history read aloud level this year, and we have been using Sunlight since 2010, so it's always been built into our days to have a lot of read aloud time. Now, last month I did kind of talk about how we kind of dropped the geography class that Emma had been working on. I really love the resources and I want her to complete that, but the schedule I just couldn't make the schedule work. It was just a lot of, it seemed like busy work to me, and it's so different than the literature-based lifestyle of learning that we have come to know. So that was a challenge. She's been working on constitutional literacy, but it's not something that I really work with her through. I mean, I do have discussion with her about questions or if topics come up, but it's more of like, she reads from this book and then there's a DVD lesson and then she answers some questions. So it's not really the discussion-based learning that we're used to, where I read a lot of information or she reads it and then we just go back and forth discussing it. Same thing with Jack. He is doing main studies this year, and the main studies, we've done this main studies workbook in the past, but it is a workbook where you're going and you're doing research and trying to find out specific information, filling out questions and data and stuff like that, and he is just not into it at all. I knew that it was going to be dry for him, but yeah, I was hoping that it wouldn't be too much of a drain on his energy, but he's just really not enjoying it. He is learning stuff, but it's not as fun as I would like it to be. When Emma did main studies, we were also doing Sunlight level H. So the main studies portion was a very small amount of her overall school for the year, but I did not decide to also do level H again with Jack. He is doing the level H language arts, which we're really enjoying, but not the history portion. So, well, mainly because he had listened to a lot of those books already, and I feel like it hasn't been enough time. I guess it's been 3 years since she did that main studies book in level H, but you know, they both have really good memories and pretty much know a lot of the detail, so it's hard for me to reread some of those books. Yes, so that has been a challenge. We have had some opportunities to do some field trips this fall, which has been great for main studies. We weren't able to do those when Emma did main studies back in 2019, 2020, because we were moving in 2019, or we were trying to sell our house in 2019, and in 2020, everything shut down. So there wasn't a whole lot of field trips. So it's been kind of nice to do some of those things with all of the kids. Another thing that we are struggling with is Brave Writer. We have not done any Brave Writer. We did some in July and August, and then as soon as public schools started, I had to drop Brave Writer because we just didn't have the time to put into it. I've wanted Emma to do the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring Slingshot since August. That was when I had planned to do it. I started reading Lord of the Rings in August, but then we took a huge break from read-alouds just because I couldn't manage the time. But now I'm trying to start incorporating that again now that cross country is done and I have a better handle on the band schedule and when we have to be certain places at certain times. Yes. So those are all of the challenges. Now some of the changes that we are making. Again, we only have about 3 weeks until our homeschool break. So we are just trying to finish strong. I'm just trying to get through all of the work that we still have to do. It's not a ton. I am really happy with how the kids have done, how they've kept up with all of the assignments, even though it has been so crazy the past couple of months. But I just want to make sure that we are where we need to be over the next few weeks. The next change that we made last month, I talked about how biology was just crazy. We're doing Apologia biology with the lab, all of the lab components, the microscope, the dissections, all of it. We're doing all of it. And it is a lot. It is a lot of vocabulary. It is a lot of reading. There is so much reading. The questions aren't so bad. She's able to answer those pretty easily, but we were really struggling keeping up with it and understanding all of the content and making sure that we were getting the labs done and done correctly. It was a lot, and I got a lot of great recommendations from you. Several people emailed me, and I really appreciate that. I feel at this point, because we're so far into the year, I can't switch her biology at this point to a different course. But what I was able to do that I wish that Sunlight had recommended in their packages is to get the thumb drive that goes with the Apologia course. The thumb drive is something sold separately. You can get it on christianbook.com. You can get it on Rainbow Resource. You probably could get it on eBay, a used one. But it has, I think 20 plus hours of video drilling down on the specific sections in the textbook, and then it also has the experiments, a demonstration of the experiment on the thumb drive. And honestly, that is the whole reason that I wanted it, because even though I know how to do science, I know how to set up the labs, I know how to do the lab reports, and I can show her how to do those things. I want her to be able to take a lot more ownership of those types of things and do a lot of the setup on her own. Also, I don't have the amount of time it takes to set all of that up in a day. It's like, when you do a lab, it's a long process. It's not just a 15-20 minute time. There's a lot of setup, there's a lot of cleanup. And so if she is able to watch the setup and the lab on the computer and do it at the same time. It makes things so much easier. Also, if there is a question about what she is seeing as she's doing the lab, she can kind of compare that to what the teacher is showing her. So I'm super glad that I got that. I'm so sad that it is, 4 months into our homeschool year because I feel like I need to go back and redo the modules that we've already completed, and we really don't have time for that. So we're going to just try and start with the next module and just keep moving forward, and hopefully this will be very helpful. She's used it for about a week at this point, and I'm very pleased with how that is and how it has gone. So I did kind of talk a little bit about the read-alouds and the history and how we're kind of missing that aspect of our day. And so this past week I did start implementing a read aloud time with my older kids again. I know it may sound funny because Emma is in high school, but we have really enjoyed our time reading together for so long. It's been such a huge part of our homeschool, and to sit down and read together for a couple of hours is something that I really enjoy. We have the best discussions. My kids ask great questions. They deep dive on things, and it's something that I really have missed this year because everybody is kind of doing their own thing. Obviously, I'm doing read-alouds with Lucy. Emma and Jack are not at all interested in any of these read-alouds because they have listened to them several times. They have both been through the entire Story of the World series twice. So I've done that 4 times, and now I'm going through it again. They've been through it many times and are not interested in listening to those stories again. And they're not all that interested in the read-alouds that I am doing with Lucy at the moment. Which is fully expected as Lucy just turned 8 and they are upper middle and high school. But I did want to incorporate more read-alouds with my older kids. And so what I did was I grabbed A History of Us. Emma did this level 100 2 years ago, and we really enjoyed it. However, at the end of that year, we were struggling to finish getting through all of the books in level 100. I feel like level 100 is the biggest history level that Sunlight has, even though it is not super upper level. There is a lot of content. There are so many books in this level. And so towards the end, we weren't as in-depth in the History of Us books. This is book 7, which is Reconstructing America, 1865 to 1890, after the Civil War. So I started reading this past week with Emma and Jack. I think it's actually going to be a good precursor because next year Emma will be doing 20th century world history, and so we'll focus on 20th century US history until the end of the school year. And so we have been enjoying this. Like I said, we are reading Lord of the Rings, and that's going great. I enjoy reading, just a book with the kids. It's always fun for me. And then the other book that we're reading right now is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. I think that I maybe mentioned last month that I wanted Emma to start reading this. I have been trying to get her to do more personal development type books. This year it's been an extra assignment for her. She did read Thomas Jefferson Education for Teens, and then this was going to be the next book that I had her start. However, I did not end up having her start this book, and instead I am reading it to my kids because I think that there's a lot of value in this for both of them, even though Jack is just shy of the teen years. I did read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in college for one of my business classes. Really enjoyed it. This is by Stephen Covey's son, Sean, and so far we really like it. It is very funny. I think very relatable for teens, and my kids are having a lot of fun listening to this and asking questions and answering the questions that are in this. Obviously, my whole goal with this book had been originally for Emma to go in and underline and annotate and take notes in the margins, all of the things that she was learning about in Thomas Jefferson Education for Teens, about how to learn through reading. But it has been good for us to do a lot of discussion about the habits and lifestyle and all of that kind of stuff. So this is another thing that we are reading aloud right now. So it's just the 3 books that we're doing, and I'm only dedicating about an hour of time to reading aloud with the kids at this point, except on the days that there is no band. Then I might do about an hour and a half and read a little bit more from Lord of the Rings. But so far, so good. I am very much enjoying this part of our days, and I think that the kids are actually really welcoming that aspect back into our homeschool as well. Now, another thing that was a challenge that I forgot to write down was geometry. Geometry has been a struggle for Emma this year. Algebra, she does great. She understands algebra, and I think it's because of me. She is struggling with geometry because I did not like geometry at all when I was in school, at all. And honestly, I just, it's just not fun. There are so many theorems and proofs and postulates and all of these things that you have to remember, and it has been a struggle. Now, I say that, and in October, we were so busy that I forgot one of the number 1 reasons that I love teaching textbooks, which is that you can print out the lesson so that when you're going through the exercises, you have the lecture in front of you. I've been talking about how much I love this for the past several years, and I completely stopped printing out her lessons. When she started teaching textbooks geometry this year, she didn't need me to print out the lessons. So she was just going through the lessons. And I knew that there was going to be a point when I needed to start printing them out for her, because obviously, if you think about math, you have a math textbook, you have the exercises or problems that you have to go through. When you are doing those homework problems, you're referring to your textbook for examples and for the steps to go through the problem. And yeah, obviously she's not doing that when she's just going through the problems on the computer. And so there have been some struggles, and we've had to go back and rewatch lectures and all of that stuff. And it didn't really dawn on me until I sat down to consider how our October has gone that I stopped printing out her lessons in favor of her just doing them on the computer, and that doesn't work for her. So we need to re-implement me printing out her lessons so that she has that paper in front of her. She does the problems on the paper and then enters them in for the self-grading. Now, there are a lot of resources in teaching textbooks which can be helpful. One is all the appendices. So I did print out all of the appendices for her. This one, definitions, theorems, properties, and postulates, so that she can go through and read these and make notes and refer back to them. I don't know why I didn't do this at the beginning of the year. I think that it just didn't. I don't know why I didn't print out this stuff, because it's stuff that I typically do, and I feel like I just dropped the ball, and it didn't even cross my mind. It didn't even cross my mind until Emma started to struggle, and then I was like, why is she struggling so much when she has always done great? So there is that. And then the other 2 things that I did end up getting to help us, resource related, is everything you need to know about geometry in one big fat notebook, and then also the biology one, so that she has these as reference books for her courses that she's taking right now. We have the entire middle school series of this. It's US history, world history, math, English, science, and computer science. There may be another one for the middle school. There is a pre-algebra algebra book as well. I think that's part of their high school series. That I may get for Jack. He's midway through pre-algebra right now. It might be useful for him as he continues on. But I love these books. They're so helpful. They have so much great information. There are questions at the end of each chapter. So you can go in and they will have little, they call them quizzes, but I don't know. And then they have the answers. So it's just good extra practice. And then the same thing with biology. I just think these are a great resource, and they're very inexpensive. I think these were maybe $10. They might have been $14. But for the kids to have those resources, I think it's really great. So I did get those, and I will be I will be printing out her geometry going forward. And I feel so silly not that I haven't been doing that. So we all have issues sometimes, and this was mine. Now, for the last part of my update, I will go over some of the books that we've been reading lately. Emma is still reading Pride and Prejudice. I think that in my last homeschool update, I mentioned that Emma was going to be starting Pride and Prejudice, which she started. It's been a long book because she's reading through all of the notes in addition to the text. I've said this before, the book, it's like 1 page of text and then 1 page of notes. And she is really enjoying it. She loves Pride and Prejudice. She's way ahead on the questions. In her language arts, she's mainly just going through to read the notes and to refresh her memory of some of the detail in the story, but she's been really enjoying that. Jack has read a few books. He read The Good Master, In Search of Honor, and now he is reading The Singing Tree. Again, he's doing much better now that he's choosing his books. I think that that's good. For Lucy, she's been still going through some of her summer readers, not the ones that I purchased for this year, but just we have so many packages of elementary summer readers that I've gotten over the years. So she's been reading those at night. She was reading the book called 1/3 Nerd. And I think she got halfway through it, but she wasn't super thrilled with the book. Some books she's just not all that excited about. So now she is reading Summer Pony, and she is definitely enjoying that. I'm trying to get her to start reading the Nancy Drew Clue Crew books that Emma read when she was Lucy's age. I know that she'll like them. She just has not agreed with me to pick them up yet. And then she's also reading through her children's Bible still for her reader for language arts, and I think she'll probably be done with that by Christmas, and then we may move into the grade 3 readers because she's read all of the other second grade readers except for the children's Bible. So then for fun reading for Emma, she just finished The Red Queen, which is a book that I read last year. It's kind of dystopian, YA, fantasy type book. Yes, I love those types of books. And she was looking for a new fun book to read, so I suggested that. She flew through it. So she finished that, and now she is reading Glass Sword. I have not read books 2, 3, or 4 in this series, but I think that I might try and read this too, because I did enjoy The Red Queen. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. So I'm not sure why I didn't continue with the series. If there were just a bunch of other books last year that I wanted to get to, that might be it. So she is reading The Glass Sword. For me, I think I've read several books this month, and they've all been like 4 or 5 star reads for me, which has been a bit abnormal the past many months. I have been reading a lot of 3-star reads, which if it's below 3 stars, I DNF it. I don't finish books that I know that I'm going to give 1 or 2 stars because I feel like there's so many other books available. But since about May, I've just been reading 3-star books. Once in a while, I'll get a 4 or 5-star book, but they've mainly just been okay, can pass the time, but not great. I started reading Cruel Prince by Holly Black at the beginning of the month, and I finished that book. And now I am on to The Wicked King. I think that is the second book, the title. Yes, The Wicked King, second book in the series. I'm really enjoying it so far. Again, I like YA fantasy books. I don't know. I think that's just a good genre for me. I have been reading the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I've been enjoying as well. I slowed down on that. I'm in book 3 right now. I slowed down though because there's only 4 books out, and I believe it's a 6-book series. So I don't want to read really quickly through the series and then be disappointed that I have to wait a couple of years for books 5 and 6. It was similar with the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I read book 1, loved it, and then book 2 came out and I was like, oh, there's going to be a 3rd book. I don't know if I want to read book 2 right now, because when the books come out so far apart, I end up having to go back and reread the other books in the series to refresh my memory of what's going on because I read so many books. So those are the books that I've been reading lately. I'm not reading a ton. Like I said, in October, we were so busy. We were gone every single weekend. There was not a free weekend in October at all. And all of that stuff has kind of caught up with us at this point. So I didn't have a ton of time for extra reading, and probably why I was very selective with the books that I was reading so that I wasn't wasting time, I guess. Yeah, so that is my very long update. Again, they are just very long updates, and that's what you've come to expect from me. I am really excited about the changes that I think I'm going to implement as we get through our winter break for, the winter/spring term. It'll be interesting to see what changes we are able to make. If there are activities that are going to keep us out of the house a lot of time. If we have to make changes based on kids being sick. Last year, after my kids were sick, like December, January, February, March, I think that we were finally healthy in April, but there was always somebody sick, and that really threw us off. I'm hoping that does not happen this year. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.